As the dust settled from the Battle of Mikadagahara, Nobunaga stood among his men, their spirits unbroken despite the intense conflict they had endured. His respect for their resilience was clear. "Without you, this victory would not have been possible," he said, his voice filled with gratitude. His generals, too, were a crucial part of his success. Among them were Toyotomi Hideyoshi and Tokugawa Ieyasu, men who would later become significant figures in Japanese history. Their loyalty to Nobunaga was unwavering, their belief in his dream of a unified Japan absolute. Hideyoshi was a commoner who rose through the ranks due to his strategic brilliance and unwavering loyalty. His resourcefulness was a significant asset to Nobunaga. On the other hand, Ieyasu was a daimyo in his own right. His alliance with Nobunaga was born out of mutual respect and shared ambition. Nobunaga valued their counsel. He often consulted them about his plans, appreciating their insights and suggestions. Their camaraderie extended beyond the battlefield, their bond forged in the crucible of war and shared dreams. Meanwhile, Nobunaga's rejection of the alliance and his subsequent defense against Shingen's forces had sent a clear message to the other daimyos. He was a force to be reckoned with, his determination unyielding. However, Nobunaga knew that the path to unification was still long and fraught with challenges. He was aware of the ambitious Uzugi Kenshin in the north and the powerful Mori clan in the west. Each of them posed a potential threat to his dream. Undeterred, Nobunaga started planning his next moves. He intended to fortify his position in Mino and Owari while also exploring potential alliances and strategies to deal with the other powerful daimyos. His goal was clear: to bring an end to the chaos of the Sengoku period and usher in an era of peace and prosperity under his rule. In the heart of Owari, Nobunaga, Hideyoshi, and Ieyasu gathered to deliberate over their next course of action. The map of Japan sprawled before them was a stark reminder of the divided state of their nation, a situation Nobunaga was determined to rectify. Hideyoshi suggested expanding eastward, towards Echigo province, the stronghold of Uzugi Kenshin. Kenshin was a formidable opponent, known for his strategic brilliance and devout Buddhist beliefs. However, Nobunaga believed it was too soon to engage with Kenshin directly. Instead, he proposed a different course of action. His plan involved the Asakura and Asai clans, both situated in the north of Owari. The Asakura and Asai had long been rivals of the Oda, their shared barter a constant source of conflict. Nobunaga planned to eliminate this threat before focusing on further expansion. Nobunaga's strategy was twofold. First, he sought to isolate the Asakura and Asai by forming alliances with their neighboring clans. By doing so, he would restrict their ability to seek reinforcements in case of an attack. Once the alliances were secure, Nobunaga intended to launch a swift and decisive attack on both clans simultaneously. He knew this would be a gamble, but he was confident in his troops and his strategy. In the months that followed, Nobunaga set his plan into motion. He sent envoys to the neighboring clans, offering alliances and trading agreements. His reputation as a formidable daimyo and a fair leader made the negotiations easier. One by one, the clans agreed to his proposals, isolating the Asakura and Asai. When the time was right, Nobunaga launched his attack. His forces descended upon the Asakura and Asai territories like a storm. Caught off guard and unable to seek reinforcements, both clans fell to Nobunaga's strategic onslaught. Nobunaga's victories over the Asakura and Asai were another significant step towards his dream of unification. They solidified his power in the central region of Japan and set the stage for his further expansion. With the Asakura and Asai territories now under his control, Nobunaga's sphere of influence had expanded significantly. He quickly set to work, implementing reforms to improve the livelihood of his new subjects. He understood that the true strength of a ruler lay not in the number of his victories, but in the prosperity and loyalty of his people. Meanwhile, Hideyoshi and Ieyasu stood by Nobunaga's side, aiding him in managing his growing territories. They understood his vision and supported it with unwavering loyalty. Their counsel and camaraderie were invaluable to Nobunaga as he navigated the complex landscape of the Sengoku period. Nobunaga's victories did not go unnoticed. The other daimyos watched his rise to power with a mix of fear and admiration. His strategic brilliance, his ability to win without significant bloodshed, and his fair rule over his territories were making him a formidable force. Among them, Uzugi Kenshin and Mori Motonari were the most cautious. Both were powerful daimyos with significant resources at their disposal. They recognized the threat Nobunaga posed and began preparing for a potential conflict. Despite the challenges ahead, Nobunaga remained undeterred. He knew the path to unification was fraught with danger and uncertainty, but he was willing to risk it all for the sake of his dream. His next target was the capital, Kyoto. Control over the capital would grant him legitimacy and strengthen his claim to power. However, Kyoto was under the control of the shogun, Ashikaga Yoshiaki, and was heavily fortified. Taking control of the capital would be a monumental task. Nobunaga began planning his strategy. He knew a direct assault would result in unnecessary bloodshed and decided against it. Instead, he chose a path of diplomacy and manipulation. Nobunaga sent an envoy to Yoshiaki, offering his support in stabilizing the capital in exchange for recognition as a legitimate ruler. Yoshiaki, struggling to maintain control over the tumultuous capital, saw the merit in Nobunaga's proposal and agreed. Nobunaga's strategic maneuvering had once again won him a victory, without a single drop of blood being shed. With the capital under his control, his dream of unifying Japan seemed closer than ever. As Nobunaga assumed control over Kyoto, the seat of power, he did so with a clear vision in mind. He sought to restore order and stability to the capital, which had been plagued by unrest due to the constant power struggles among the daimyos. He implemented reforms aimed at improving the lives of the common people. He regulated markets, built roads, and encouraged trade. His policies were well received by the people of Kyoto, who saw significant improvement in their living conditions. Meanwhile, his alliance with Ashikaga Yoshiaki, the shogun, was a delicate one. Yoshiaki was a puppet ruler, his power largely symbolic. Yet, Nobunaga maintained a respectful relationship with him, understanding the importance of the shogun's endorsement in legitimizing his rule. In the backdrop of these developments, Hideyoshi and Ieyasu continued to support Nobunaga. Their loyalty was unwavering, and their belief in Nobunaga's dream of a unified Japan was unshaken. Together, they helped Nobunaga manage his growing territories and deal with potential threats. One such threat was Mori Motonari, the daimyo of the powerful Mori clan in the western region of Japan. Motonari was a strategic genius, known for his defensive tactics and his ability to unify the clans under his rule. He viewed Nobunaga's rise to power with caution, preparing his forces for a potential conflict. Undeterred by the looming threat, Nobunaga began planning his strategy. He knew a direct assault on Mori territory would be difficult due to their strong naval power and the treacherous geography of the region. Instead, he sought to weaken the Mori from within. He sent envoys to the smaller clans under Mori rule, offering them alliances and protection under his rule. His reputation as a fair and effective ruler aided his cause. Over time, several of the smaller clans defected, weakening the Mori's hold on their territory. Nobunaga's strategy was working, and his path towards unification was becoming clearer.